mean, it's such a prevalent thing, the dictionary in the classroom, that I never really thought about it before much. It was just kind of there, but just over the last year it has caused me some headaches, so that's why I've decided just to speak a bit about it today. So just firstly, background on the students. The first thing to say is that they were 18 and over, the students, which means, you know, they're adults. Now, if for younger learners, it's probably a separate issue. So this is where I'm coming from today. Some of it might work for younger learners, but obviously, you know, it's probably a little bit easier when they are over 18. So the classes I was teaching, both monolingual and multilingual classes, you know, the multilingual mixture of French, German, Brazilians, Italians, the monolingual, mainly Portuguese speakers. So again, that can be good or bad when they all speak the same language in class. The problem is trying to stop them speaking their own native language. But then again, if you're trying to explain a word to them, you know, they get it. If one of them gets it, they all get it. So you don't have to spend too much time explaining it. Short stay and long stay. Some of them were, you know, just usual 2 to 3 weeks. Some of them were 6 months. So again, you know, this different problems. What I found with most of the students, their level was that kind of in the middle, intermediate, upper intermediate, some pre-intermediate, not so many elementary, not so many advanced. So you've got them kind of here in the middle, and they do want to communicate quickly. They want to get up to speed quickly, so they want to learn these words and not spend too long in class. So, you know, they didn't want to spend 10 minutes trying to find out what a single word meant. They wanted, you know, they might have the sentence, they'd understand most of the sentence, but there might be a single word and they wanted to know quickly, you know, what is it, so they could move on. Usually it was just maybe individual words, a verb, a noun, rather than a whole sentence, which is a kind of a separate problem when you're trying to translate like that. So what is a dictionary? Well, to somebody of my age, this is what I always think of, you know, the book. So where's the problem? Well, to our students, this now is the dictionary, whether we like it or not. This is what they think of when they think of a dictionary. A few of them still have these. They're kind of going out of fashion because, as I say here, you know, they have this. Should the teacher himself or herself be the dictionary? We'll see later on that actually some of the students seem to think that we are the dictionary. Okay, now types of dictionary. Well, you've got the usual ones that stop. The monolingual dictionary, the bilingual dictionary, they're the two most used. Then we've got these other ones, the learner's dictionary, you know, these usage dictionary, content area for learners using English to study other subjects, you know, CLIL or IELTS or whatever, picture dictionaries. So as I said, these two here are the ones that the students are most interested in. Maybe when they go to the library, you know, they can access these or they'll download them, but for most of them it's these dictionaries here. Just interestingly, these are all available now on apps that you can download to your phone. Some of them are free, but what I found is that the students don't want to pay for anything. So, for example, the Oxford Dictionary, I was looking it up, it's 20, well, the shorter Oxford Dictionary, which I think is about 20 volumes, but that's 25 euros. Okay, so you might think, well, that's good value, you know. But the students won't pay 25 euros for a dictionary, there's just no way. But the Merriman Dictionary, which is 200,000 phrases, that's totally free. They can download that like that. So that's, you know, what they tend to do. The problem that I faced was that where I'm teaching, the school rule is that there are no phones in class, which is sensible enough. Nobody really disagrees with that. But the students are allowed to access a dictionary. So no phones in class, fine. By the second class, you know, Pedro was taking out his phone and really looking up for words, and then Maria over here is. So I think the turning point was when I was standing looking at my desk and there was 4 confiscated dictionaries or confiscated phones sitting on the desk, and I'm looking at these adults thinking this is not really working. Do you know what I mean? What do I do next? Do I give them 100 lines or something? So I decided, okay, we've got to come to some kind of compromise here. So we worked out some rules. So to try and keep them off the phones, firstly, if somebody in the classroom knows the word, he or she would define it for the others. And if they get it, that's great. Then if they didn't know the word, we'd try some educated guesses, maybe a couple of sentences. Then finally it would come to the teacher to define the word. So I think most words in English are, not too bad to define. You've got table, book, but there seems to be this kind of cohort of words that are can be difficult to explain. For example, to dare. That's quite a simple verb. So I'd say, does anybody know what this means? So it comes to me to define dare. So I'd say, okay, Maria, I dare you to jump out the window. And she'd say, you want me to jump out the window? No. Or to threaten, Michael, if you don't do your homework, I will send you to the director of studies. I always do my homework, and you're there, oh God, this is not working, Or fence, you would think that'd be easy to define. So about 2 weeks ago, this word came up and they didn't know what it was. So I said, okay, what is fence? And one guy says, it's an Olympic sport. And I said, no. Well, yes it is. And I said, but not in this case. That's not the word we want. This. I said, it separates two gardens. Trees. No. It surrounds a field. What's a field? So I don't know if you have this experience, but I don't have the energy to keep this up. Mandy, you might have the energy to keep this up. But after 20 minutes of this, I'm kind of going...
Give back the phones.
Well, this is what happens. They do, then they can have a look. But actually what I did was, in desperation, I went to Google Images and I just put in fence and this comes up and they'll go, right, I understand. Okay, so I started using Google Images more and more because the picture being worth 1,000 words, it's so true. They remember this much better. So, English for academic purposes, something like engineering, I don't see how they cannot use a dictionary in such a class. Like for example, one or two of the words that came up, a nut and bolt. I mean, that's easy enough to explain. See, I'm kind of doing this, and they look at me, they don't understand, do you know what I mean? Or, what was it? A kerf. Do you know what a kerf is? I didn't know it. So it's difficult enough to define a word when you know what it means. But if you don't know what a word means, it's actually when you chop a tree and it's the piece that comes out of a tree. So again, this is where Google Images, you can throw it up there, show them the picture, and they get it immediately. And it also helps you when you don't know what the word is. Again, with these, medical things like pacemaker. I was talking to a teacher who was teaching medical English, and she was saying, yes, there are some words. And I said, do you agree with dictionaries in class? She said, no, I don't let them use dictionaries. I said, oh, but how? But as it went on, she said, well, what I do is I put in, on Google, I put in define, plus the word, and it throws up a definition of the word. So that's another option, is to use Google Translate. Now, the argument against Google Translate was that it's not very accurate. But as time goes on, it is actually getting more accurate. For individual words, it's usually pretty much spot on, because I tried some words into French and I checked with a native French speaker, for example, barbed wire fence, and checked with him, and he said yes, that was spot on. The problem I think arises when you start to put in sentences, and then it starts to break down a little bit, but it's still pretty good and it's getting better. Now some languages are better than others. For example, French is better than Portuguese, probably because maybe there's more people working it, I don't know. I have a friend, he works as a translator, a professional translator, and he's very worried because Google Translate is getting so good for the translation even of sentences that you could be out of a job soon enough, There's also interpreting, I think it's the next one. Yes, we have Google Images, Google Translate. There's interpreting apps. Now this one here, the iPhone, the iPhone is very good for it. I don't actually have an iPhone, So I just have to explain it to you. So basically where you just push the button, say the sentence, and it comes back out in French or Spanish or Japanese or Portuguese. And again, it's getting better and better. So this is a scary one because, as language teachers, if this is available where they don't have to learn, they just go around. You go to Japan, and I know somebody who travels around like that, and he's no problem. And if he wants a strawberry ice cream, I want a strawberry ice cream, just says to the guy. And so, it's difficult to keep up with the new technology that's out there. Okay, so what slide are we on then? Well, this is a perennial problem, of course. If they have the phones in class, what do you do if they're on Facebook or Skype or WhatsApp? I found with students of 18 on and over, you can reason with them. You can say, look, if you don't stop using this in class, the Facebook in class, well then, we're just going to have to put all the phones away. And there won't be any dictionaries, and you won't have any access to your phones. So that usually works. I also find that if 3 or 4 of them are on Facebook, that probably my class is not very interesting. So, it's actually a good sign that maybe you should make your class a little bit more interesting. I'm just looking around here. I think there's one person. No, you're right, and that's okay. I'm just checking. So I asked 30 students, just did a small survey around the school, do you think students should be allowed to use dictionaries in class? And 73% of them, so almost 3/4, said yes, we should be allowed to use. And I said, well, if you're allowed to use a dictionary in class, what kind of dictionary should you be allowed to use? Should you be allowed to use your phone or a book? And they looked at me most of them looked at me as if, that is the stupidest question. It's like asking, if you're traveling to Cork for the weekend, would you go by horse-drawn cart or by motor car? That was literally. So, and then when I asked them, why do you think the app is better? Why do you think your phone is better than a book? And the answer, practically from everybody, was speed, convenience, but speed. So they're all, everything's speeded up. And now the people that said no, so there was 20% said no, and that was quite touching because about 3 of them said, well, the teacher knows everything, and the teacher can tell us everything. So I was there, well, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. So I thought that was quite nice that they actually have the faith in the teacher to be able to explain absolutely everything, and then there was 1 or 2 who weren't sure. Okay. So possible solutions, well, loan the students dictionaries for a set period. These are kind of the classic older solutions. Bring dictionaries to class each day. The teacher carries them up. But again, I'm coming at this from a kind of book situation. When I say loan the students dictionaries, well, maybe we should just allow them to download a good dictionary and tell them you must use this. Include the price of a dictionary in the budget. Well, again, schools are trying to save money all the time, so I don't know how feasible that is. Ban dictionaries altogether. To be honest, I don't know if that's possible. We can talk about that in a minute. And monolingual dictionaries. Now, this is one way around it, maybe, but personally, I found that this only works really for the better level students, upper intermediate and advanced. Okay, is that 2 minutes left, or I'm over 2 minutes? Over. Oh, sorry. Okay, right. So, there's a few games, not too many. You can find them on the internet, no problem. So, just one final thing. If you think that English language teachers are the only people worried about this kind of thing, this is the headline from yesterday's Irish Daily Mail. Are children learning first words on apps? Experts say the new generation may not be able to cross roads safely or catch a ball. So, I'm sure there's a joke there about Munster rugby somewhere.